Good morning. With vets bills soaring over recent years, are customers being treated fairly? We'll find out the results of an investigation into veterinary practices.
If you are a pet owner, I am, you might be aware of the rising cost of vet bills in recent years.
Yeah, it's getting really expensive, yeah. And to try and find out why this could be, the Competition and Markets Authority launched an investigation into vet services. Emma is here to tell us more. And Emma, if you have a pet, all you want to do is keep them safe and healthy and well, but it's getting expensive.
Yeah, there's a real emotional side to this. It's not just any old household bills, is it? And overall, this is all about looking at how fairly pet owners are being treated. Well, good morning. The watchdog that tackles unfair behaviour on behalf of consumers, the CMA, has carried out this investigation into veterinary practices. One of the reasons they decided to take a good look at the industry is this. Vets bills, well, they've soared by 60% in 8 years, and that's well above the rate of inflation. And the CMA found that some people on low incomes have been sacrificing other expenses to pay for them, and that often people weren't aware in advance of the costs that they're committing to for treatment. Now, the CMA said its initial review of vets' websites suggested that more than 80% of them had no pricing information at all, even for standard services. The CMA says a lack of competition in the sector is partly to blame. There's been a rapid growth in the number of large companies running vets practices, and many pet owners don't know they may be able to ask their vet for a prescription and then get medication elsewhere, which could save money. Now, in 2013, a vast majority of vets were independent operators, but by 2021, well, that percentage had nearly halved. We've been hearing from some pet owners who say the costs of treatment are now out of control. Jim Connolly's been investigating.
Good boy. He kind of lights everything up, really. He's chaos in the best way.
Nicole loves everything about Ernie. Well, everything except how much he's cost her in vet bills.
About 12,000 all in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an insane amount of money, isn't it?
It is. And we think that he's inhaled a grass seed from there, but we don't know when. Could have been any time.
And it just got lodged in the back of his throat.
His lung. It went.
Nicole was given a pretty stark choice when it came to her Springer crossed cocker. Put Ernie down or an expensive operation.
They found an abscess on his lung there and then, and they didn't even need to do the x-ray after.
So how much are the bills totting up then? You've had tests, you've had x-rays, you've had ultrasounds. What were you at now? Were you a few £1,000s?
At this point it was probably about 2,000, yeah. Right. It was then he dropped the bomb on, we can either get him referred to a specialist vet services in the northwest, or we can euthanise him, was the only other option. And he said the specialist vet service would cost upwards of £7,000. The final bill from the hospital, I think, was about 10,000, and the final bill altogether was upwards of 12.
Had you not spent 12 grand on Ernie, what would you have spent it on?
We've recently got engaged, so we're supposed to be getting married. So we're thinking that we might just elope now, because that £12,000 would have gone towards the wedding, and no, I think it's just Gretna Green.
There's growing frustration in the veterinary world that the public can't see why costs are high. As someone that's covered the issue for over a year now, I've been contacted by a lot of vets fed up about how their industry is seen.
We've got 23 staff to run the business every day.
Francesca was one of them. She wanted to show me around her practice in London.
That's about a 60 grand machine to allow us to do the keyhole surgery. We've got an x-ray unit which is about 25 grand. We're looking at multiple tens of thousands of pounds.
Go on then, how much?
£250,000. They're really expensive businesses to run properly. The level of work that we're kind of working at, and the number of staff, the equipment that we hold, it comes at a great cost to us, and that is something that's impossible not to transfer onto the client in some regard.
Do you think we're a bit unrealistic as pet owners as a nation when it comes to how much stuff costs?
Do you know James Herriot might have fixed your dog with Baylor twine, or there's a different world, and we are now expected to do amazing things. You know, routinely animals are having advanced imaging, we're doing big orthopaedic procedures, so the levels have grown, and the costs that are associated with that are enormous.
Someone who knows how vet costs can spiral is Chantel.
He's the most loving dog ever. He's not the brightest, but he's the sweetest of my whole entire entourage.
She has 6 rescue animals that her and her carers look after. One has cost her thousands because of his repeated spinal problems. Her beloved Benji.
What's your sense when you get one of those massive bills?
It's terrifying. It fills me with dread. I feel nauseous. It keeps me awake at night. It's a horrible situation to be in debt and also to not have the resources to pay it.
These injuries meant he also had no control over his bladder or bowels. So, because of Chantel's disability, a vet came up with a high-tech but costly solution to allow him to go to the toilet.
So that's left me with £23,000 bill over the last 5 years. But all of my other animals are very low maintenance.
It's just Benji's a money pit.
Benji, it's just Benji. It's just you, Baba.
So it seems pet lovers will do anything for their animals. But with advancements in medicine and higher expectations, that does come at a cost. The veterinary industry wants us to think about that before we say vets are ripping us off. Jim Connolly, BBC News.
Oh, look at them. Well, we will bring you the latest from that report in about half an hour's time. That's when it's getting published and throughout the programme. If you've been impacted by the rising cost of veterinary care, we'd love to hear from you. You can get in touch using the details on the screen now. Sally and Roger.
Emma, thank you very much. I think Roger's
I'm just
already
sending a text.
already involved here.
It is expensive, isn't it? But then you do love your pets, don't you? And people do love their pets. Anyway, lots of people getting in touch about pets and vet bills, which we're going to be talking about. The Competition and Markets Authority putting out a report a little later this morning in the next half hour or so. Lots of people are getting in touch. Should we read some of these now? Is that a good time to do it? Julie Thompson's been in touch. She says, my elderly spaniel needed dental treatment. I was quoted £1,000. I was due to go on holiday to France, decided to take him with us to get a second opinion. It was 121 when I got to France to get the same procedure.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because if someone says you need to pay a certain amount to keep your pet well, it's a hugely emotional decision. John has been in touch saying you can actually get drugs cheaper online. On one hand, the vet will charge you for a prescription. Could you look online? Also, when you go back to the vets for further treatment, they ask you and try and suggest you might want to invest in pet insurance. Why do you need pet insurance if you're going to pay high bills?
Well, the interesting point, a few people have picked up about pet insurance, including Maggie, who says her insurance for her dog costs 4 times as much as her car insurance.
And car insurance is not cheap.
It's not.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your comments. Lots of them coming in. The watchdog that tackles unfair behaviour on behalf of consumers was due to publish a report. That report has now just come out about the rising cost of veterinary care, and Emma's got the details. Emma.
It's all about whether vet owners are actually being treated fairly by the industry. Now, that watchdog that tackles unfair behaviour on behalf of consumers has been investigating the industry of vets practices because vets bills for pet owners have been soaring. And they've proposed in the last few minutes a raft of major new measures. Now, among these, they've said that people may be paying twice as much as they need to for common medicines from vets than they could pay online, and that there should now be a price cap on written prescriptions at £16 and to help people a new price comparison website. They also want to require vets practices to publish clear price lists of treatments and to give pet owners clear price information when they're choosing a treatment, with some prices in writing for treatments of over £500. The hope is that this will help make consumers more informed choices about what's right for their pet and what they can afford. Roger.
And there are literally hundreds of comments. So thank you, first of all, for everybody who's got in touch this morning. Killoran saying that she spent £26,000. Sorry, this is Laura, sorry. £26,000 for her unspayed dog, trying to get her fixed up. In the end, the dog died. 3 Springer Spaniels owned by Philip and his family. They always go to a vet, a large vet, centrally owned. They think they pay more. Charges went up by 50% within only weeks of their former owners selling out. Deborah says the influence of bills being paid by insurance companies affects the prices that vets charge too. And insurance is an interesting issue that lots of people have raised. We've both got dogs.
Yeah. Pay our insurance, and it's still expensive.
And then apparently sometimes when the dog gets to a certain age or has had some kind of an issue, the insurance won't cover it anymore or won't pay out.
And the other thing we've just been discussing is whether or not people know that when they go to the vets and there's a prescription, sometimes that prescription is cheaper online.
And you just buy it from the vet because it's the thing that you think you have to do. David has written in. He says that this is the first time I'm reading these. 4 years ago, the Competitions and Markets Authority did a similar thing for funeral directors, but nothing to ensure that funeral directors are actually now following through on what they were asked to do. So that plays into the final point we asked the guy from the CMA about whether it's binding, and he said they'll come up with a final report in a few months' time when hopefully they've had some feedback from the veterinary industry. Final one here from Janie says, our programme is missing the point. The whole reason why vets bills have escalated in recent years is because vets are no longer operating independently. They're joining groups, as we talked about, the big groups. The CMA talking about 6 big veterinary practices, which are owned by all sorts of investors, and they need to see an income. Thank you for all your comments.
So many people have been in touch.
Yeah, really echoing this idea that actually people have been paying more than perhaps they needed to, not realising there were other ways to get some cheaper prices. Gwen in Lancashire writes in, she was a little more savvy. She was told it would cost £56 for a check-up consultation for a guinea pig, but she went to a different practice where the consultation was free.
Wow.
Karina in Farnborough in Hampshire said that she stopped counting her vet's bills for her moggy cat Hamish when they reached £40,000. She says that Hamish sustained sustained serious injuries after a hit and run. And she said that several years on, I'm still paying off the debts. However, she says, I wouldn't have changed my decision.
Oh,
it just shows you how difficult it can be. We've had Jan on. She has a golden retriever who's on daily heart medication. Her local vet charges £48 for a month's supply of that. She says she can get exactly the same tablet online with a prescription for £4.50. OK, let's have a moment for vets here.
Yeah.
We've heard from some vets too this morning. Jess on the Wirral says, I'm so sick of vet bashing. It's a draining testing job, a proper vocation, and the way we're treated means we are leaving the profession in droves.
It's interesting, and today, of course, the CMA coming out, the Competition and Markets Authority, with these ideas about how it can be made fairer. But you're right, the number of vets have been in touch. Keith says, historically, pet owners had very good times in the 90s and the 2000s when local veterinary skills and services vastly improved. But the business didn't gradually increase prices to cover the cost then.
And guess what? We have, of course, got some very cute pet pictures. Let's have a look at Milo. Oh. Milo was born with a condition affecting his back legs. He has cost upwards of £10,000. But Natalie from Kent says her vets have been fantastic and help find ways to help him in a cost-effective way. So that treatment is ongoing, but she says that the vets have been really supportive and trying to spread that cost.
OK, let's have a look at this one. Darren from Nottingham sent this picture of his dog, Willow. She contracted, am I going to say this right? Pyometra?
I've Googled it. It's a bacterial infection.
Oh, Roger, you swat. They rushed her to the vets where they were told they would have to operate immediately and it would cost around £1,000.
I mean, it is a huge amount of money that people spend on their pets, but then pets enrich families, don't they?
Yeah. You see that cute little face smiling at you, what are you going to do?
I know, exactly. You couldn't say no, could you? Thanks, Emma, very much indeed. You've been ploughing through all the comments. We've had hundreds this morning. Thank you to everyone who's been in touch.